Olympics wrap up 12 days of achievement and inspiration in spectacular style. The International Paralympic Committee President and the public say, well done, Beijing. China responds to the tamed milk scandal by cancelling all inspection exemptions for food products, juices and performing dairy industry regulations. And Japan's ruling parties agreed to call their poll next month. Hello and welcome to NewsHour on CCTV International. I'm Liang Hong. The curtain has fallen on Beijing's two-month sporting spectacle with an emotional closing ceremony of the Paralympics. The Games opened on the 6th of September, 18 days after the end of Olympics. More than 4,000 elite disabled athletes from 147 countries and regions competed in 20 sports, making this Paralympics the biggest ever. Han Bin found this report from the Bird's Nest.
The eyes of the world once again fall on the Bird's Nest. A performance called A Letter to the Future bid farewell to the Paralympians in Beijing. China's efforts to host the Paralympics with a splendor equal to the Olympics have been widely applauded.
These are the greatest Paralympic Games ever. The Paralympic spirit that is ever bright in our movements, found here in China a kindred spirit. Now that these spirits are united, one world, one dream, and one people has become a reality.
The Beijing Paralympics made history with more than 500 Paralympic and world records broken. China topped the medals table with 89 golds and 211 total medals, double second place Britain on both counts. But the Games mean more than just medals.
Through the Paralympic Games, the barrier-free facilities in the city have been greatly improved, and an accessible bridge has been formed between the hearts of disabled and non-disabled people.
The real significance of the Games, especially for those disabled who cannot attend, could be far-reaching.
Chinese people can be proud of the equal splendor, and indeed they've done it. And talking to the Paralympic athletes, they've all been so enthusiastic and impressed with the way the Games have been organized and the the sort of crowd participation and enthusiasm.
China can show leadership, what is done so far, and then to go the next step. So other countries can also learn from how best we can bring the disabled into full members of society.
And it was a passionate moment to say goodbye.
Very, very nice Paralympic Games in Peking. Super, number one.
This place is very wonderful. In my life, it's the first time I see this place like this, Beijing.
Thanks, Beijing. Thanks, all world. Thank you.
The International Paralympic Committee flag was handed over to the 2008 hosts, London. The Games officially closed as the Paralympic flame was extinguished. But the flames in people's hearts will go on. For the past 11 days, the Paralympians have worked their magic in sport and on the way within. Their passion for life, despite and sometimes because of their disabilities, is an inspiration to all. The Bird's Nest has witnessed the power and resilience of the human spirit, and if society behind all persons with disabilities, then everybody wins. Han Bin and Xu Peng, CCTV at the Bird's Nest in Beijing.
The Olympic flame is no longer burning in Beijing, and handover of the 2012 Olympic host London has taken place. Yang Yan takes a look at reactions in London to the closing ceremony and celebrations.
This is the square in front of Hackney Town Hall. the screens showing the live broadcast of the closing ceremony of Beijing Paralympic Games. As one of the 5 boroughs in London to hold the Games, the Olympic venues built here for 2012 Games will cover 1/3 of the total area. People say they are proud to be at the heart of the London Games. The mayor of Hackney is just back from Beijing, and he shared his feelings about Beijing and the Games.
Well, I was absolutely bowled over. It was an absolutely incredible experience. The stadium, absolutely fantastic.
Giles Long has competed in 3 Paralympic Games and won 3 swimming golds. He said he was impressed by the closing ceremony.
If I was Chinese and watching that, I would be very, very proud. There must be a hell of a lot of very proud people in China. It was an absolutely fantastic show. The London bus, I think for us here obviously was very symbolic, and I personally had a bit of a tear in my eye just knowing that we're next. All of my friends who've been out there competing as part of the team, no matter which sport, have all said how fantastically it's been organised. They've been saying how warm the Chinese people have been to them, and just what a fantastic experience it is. And I haven't heard anyone, not one single person, say that the Beijing Olympics and Paralympics hasn't been the best yet. It really has been fantastic.
After the ceremony, disabled people put on performances and children joined in sports activities. The enthusiasm for the Olympic and sports is heated as the countdown starts. Yang Yan, CCTV.
International Paralympic Committee President Philip Craven spoke at a news conference on the final day of the Games. Craven compared the Paralympics with the Olympics and also talked about the friendliness of the fans.
2 games have taken place here. Have those games been of equal splendour, but with distinguishing features? I think they have been of equal splendour, but with distinguishing features. But there's been such a friendly atmosphere here, such a family atmosphere, so many families, both from China and from abroad, coming to Olympic Green. I don't know if we now call that Paralympic Green, Wang Wei. And coming to the events. But I hope you've noticed here at the Paralympics, the fans and the spectators clap for both sides, or for all the athletes.
People across China are praising the Paralympic spirit of determination and sharing the joy of this great event. Gui Xiaozeng has the story.
Many overseas students from around the world gathered at Liaoning University to watch the closing ceremony of the Games on Wednesday night.
我觉得他们比赛时候太厉害了，然后我希望全世界能接受他们的能力。
残奥会的闭幕式比以前的非常好看，我很喜欢。
Residents of Baicheng City in Jilin Province were also stunned by the wonderful performances.
The 12-day Paralympic Games touched our hearts deeply.
Over in Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, a conference room at a construction site was crowded with workers who had just got back from work to watch the closing ceremony. Many of them even put on festive clothes to celebrate the Games with songs and dances. The success of the Paralympic Games means even more to disabled people. Many students at a disabled education school in Qinhuangdao City of Hebei Province sat in front of the TV to share the joy and fun.
我想对参加残奥会的每一个运动员说，你们是最棒的。
Students at another disabled school in Shandong Province are particularly happy because their schoolmate Cui Na won a gold medal in women's judo.
I believe that as long as we have confidence in life and feel the love surrounding us, we will have courage to carry on and create our own miracles.
也能创造我们自己的奇迹。奥运会让我们天天像过节，我们要像大姐姐、大哥哥一样，顽强拼搏，做一名残而不废、残而有为的人。
Hundreds of thousands of other people with disabilities across the nation have been inspired by this great event. And that's the essence of the Paralympics. Have faith in yourself and everything is possible. 顾晓增 CCTV.
Next, Liu Ming takes a look at the impact of the Games on China.
Barrier-free facilities are the most immediate marks the Paralympics have left in China. As the host city of the 2008 Paralympics, Beijing has become a city without barriers.
I seldom went off in the past because it was so inconvenient. Last year, the community built a long ramp in front of my door with steel hand railings. It really liberated me. Some of my disabled friends couldn't visit my place for 20 years because of the stairs, but that's not a problem anymore.
The accessibility facilities have been improved. A lot of things have been installed, like Sir Phil Quirin just mentioned, about the accessibility at the Great Wall, the Forbidden City. They are going to be a landmark thing for the course of people with a disability in China. And not to mention in the venues, in the public areas, the accessibility in the airport, everywhere I think things are being improved.
Besides the accessible facilities, the Paralympic Games have changed the people's images about disabled people and earned more respect for people with disabilities.
I no longer have the stereotypical image I had of disabled people. They are not weak at all. They are brave, strong, full of fighting spirit and never yield to fate. I am inspired by their wonderful performances on the track every day. I hope my reporting will give more hope to other disabled people and make able-bodied people treasure their life more.
People's awareness is marvelous. People are beginning to respect more for people with a disability because of their challenge to their own limits. And I think this is going to be a great legacy for Beijing, for China. People understand more about the needs, how to care for people with a disability. And the public, by watching the competitions, they learn the Paralympic spirit. And many young people, kids, I think they take the watching, I think later on for an education program. So they are more inspired, encouraged in their own lifetime, in their own life, goal, in their strive for achieving their own goal.
The Paralympics also created a volunteer spirit.
I learned more about volunteer services by being a volunteer myself. It is not popular in China yet. I get plenty of pleasure from helping others and seeing smiles on their faces. I will pump more energy and time into volunteer service in the future.
It took China 7 years to prepare for the Olympics and the 12-day-long Paralympic Games. And just like the Olympics, China topped the gold medal table at the Paralympics. While leaving legacies in Paralympic history, the Beijing Games have left China plenty of tangible and intangible legacies that will be felt and understood in years to come. Liu Ming, CCTV, Beijing.
Still ahead on NewsHour, China responds to the tainted milk scandal by cancelling all inspection exemptions for food producers and reforming dairy industry regulations. And Japan's ruling parties agree to call a snap poll next month.
They are the makers of Made in China. They had been in great danger. Depressed by the doubt about the basic food supply to the people. Yet they forge ahead, disregarding many hurdles. Step by step, day by day, they are making true miracles. Every move, every moment. We record, we recall.
The State Administration of Quality Supervision, Inspection and Quarantine has cancelled all national inspection exemptions for food producers. The quality watchdog says companies may no longer publicize the exemption status. The exemption labels printed on food products and the packages became invalid as of Wednesday. In the wake of the contaminated baby milk powder scandal, China's quality watchdog says it will launch a comprehensive national tests and revised regulations on the supervision and management of the dairy industry. The State Standardization Administration will issue the amended regulation before the end of this year. Meanwhile, authorities around the country have initiated a massive campaign to recall and destroy all contaminated baby formula milk powder. Pandeng has the details.
Major supermarket chains in Beijing have emptied their shelves of all products made by the disgraced Sanlu Group. The only milk powder for sale is from brands shown to be melamine-free. The quick response comes as melamine, a toxic chemical, was found in batches of baby formula from 22 manufacturers around the country. Supermarkets reacted quickly when they received a word about tainted brands.
We cleared all the contaminated milk powder on the very same morning when headquarters called us.
Many supermarkets say Sanlu dairy products for infants have sold poorly for a long time. Sales personnel say most people choose to buy imported products.
The sale of Sanlu products is not good here. Actually, we cleared their products 1 month ago.
In Shanghai, quality and market watchdogs have been closely monitoring the massive recalling campaign. Inspectors are revisiting stores to ensure a smooth recall. This supermarket removed all Sanlu products last week. They also got rid of products on the latest list issued by national authorities. Shanghai's municipal government has ordered supermarkets not to return contaminated products to the manufacturers. The same campaign against the tainted milk powder has been carried out all over the country, and manufacturers now allow customers to return unsafe products. Pandeng, CCTV.
Hospitals across the country are stepping up efforts to make sure babies fed contaminated formula are examined. As Yuan Xiaoyuan finds out, measures like a priority access and free checkups are putting parents' minds at ease.
Carrying their children in their arms, parents at this hospital in Shenzhen are anxiously waiting word about their beloved babies, many of whom have grown up drinking baby formula contaminated with melamine.
I watched the news last night about the contaminated milk powder, which included the brand my child drank since she was born. No symptoms have occurred in him so far, but I still worry about him.
19 infants in Shenzhen alone have been diagnosed with kidney stones and other illnesses after drinking the problematic milk powder, with the youngest victim only 2 months old.
My child has had a high fever for 4 days and has no appetite to eat.
An exploding number of child patients has burdened hospital with high pressure. Local health authorities in Shenzhen have designated 15 hospitals to receive the contaminated children for free checkup.
We are trying our best to discover the cases as early as possible and take prompt measures to cure the disease.
Similar priority access for victims of the tainted milk scandal has been implemented in Anhui and Shanxi provinces, where the whole medical process has been simplified. Most babies are from remote areas. Doctors have to inform parents how to prevent melamine-related illness and devise a treatment plan once the kidney stones are found in the child.
For most cases, we use drinking water to dissolve the stones, and it works well that way. But for those with larger stones, we have to use surgery.
Medical treatment for the babies is a top concern at hospitals. Gao Qiang, who's heading an emergency team responding to the tainted milk powder, has visited patients in Hebei province. Over 860 infants are suffering from kidney stones in that province alone, where Sanlu milk powder is produced. Gao is demanding that hospitals provide timely and effective treatment for affected infants, and medical experts are being sent to remote areas to check on the young victims. Gao is also inspecting local markets and dairy farms, ensuring that milk supply is once again safe for the country's babies. Yuan Xiaoyuan, CCTV.
Meanwhile, the State Administration of Quality Supervision, Inspection and Quarantine has published a list of 87 safe manufacturers of baby formula products. Death toll from the rain-triggered landslide in the northern province of Shanxi has risen to 260. 10 others remain missing. So far, the identities of 214 victims have been confirmed. The rescue headquarters say the 10-day-old search will continue. On September the 8th, an unlicensed iron ore dumped in Shenfen County collapsed, engulfing a village downstream. An initial investigation placed the blame on negligence. 72 people have been hospitalized after a chlorine leak in a chemical plant in southwest China's Yunnan province. Local authorities say the leak occurred on Wednesday afternoon in the liquefied chlorine workshop of the Phosphorus and Power Company in Shendian, Hui and Yi Autonomous Region. All the sickened staff were immediately sent to hospital and no deaths have been reported. Local authorities say the leak has been contained and air quality has returned to normal. A college in Dujiangyan City has reopened after the massive May the 12th earthquake hit southwest China's Sichuan province. Chengdu New-Soft Institute of Information is the first quick-hit college in Sichuan to reopen at its original site. The institute suffered severe damage in the earthquake because it is located less than 20 kilometers away from the tremor's epicenter. After the disaster, about 4,600 students were temporarily transferred to colleges in Liaoning and Guangdong provinces. Now that facilities have been repaired, a sense of normalcy has returned to the campus.
Our students haven't fallen behind in their studies since the quake. More importantly, they now understand what appreciation and responsibility really mean.
After the disaster, we're more mature than we used to be, and we will cherish our future even more.
He sees the world as he feels the music. He conveys what he feels to our hearts. We can learn to appreciate more of what we have, thanks to Lang.
Japanese media say the country's ruling parties have agreed to call a general election for October the 26th. Japan is not required to hold an election for the lower house until next September. But a snap poll was widely expected because the main ruling Liberal Democratic Party, or LDP, hopes to take advantage of a jump in voter support for a new Prime Minister. LDP is set to pick a new leader on Monday after Prime Minister Yasuo Fukuda stepped down this month. Polls suggest the new leader will be former Foreign Minister Taro Aso. Reports say Parliament will likely be dissolved on October the 3rd and election campaigning will start on October the 14th. The final decision will be made after the new Prime Minister is appointed. Israeli TV exit polls say Foreign Minister Tzipi Livni has won a clear victory in the party primary election to replace Prime Minister Ehud Olmert. For an outright victory, Livni needs 40% of the vote. The three TV exit polls gave her between 47 and 49%. Her nearest rival, former Defense Minister and Military Chief Ashal Mofaz, received 37% in all three polls. Early on Thursday, Olmert congratulated Livni on her apparent victory. Olmert has said he will resign as soon as a Kajima party has a new leader. Livni will have 42 days to form a new ruling coalition. If she succeeds, she will become Israel's first female prime minister in 34 years. Militants have assaulted the U.S. embassy in Yemen. 16 people were killed in the coordinated attack. 6 attackers were killed, along with 4 civilians and 6 soldiers in charge of guarding the compound. 3 others were wounded. Yemen's official news agency quoted a security source saying that the militants had planned 2 suicide attacks with car bombs targeting the building. The source said 2 cars had tried to break into the embassy compound and the guards had managed to explode them outside the security barriers. The embassy building has been unscathed and none of the embassy workers were injured. U.S. Defense Secretary Robert Gates says the U.S. military needs to do more to prevent the killing of ordinary Afghans caught up in military operations. The increasing number of civilian deaths in Afghanistan since early this year is raising doubts about the U.S. military's security measures in the war-torn country. Li Ying has more.
Gates has visited Afghanistan to assure the Afghan public that the security situation is in control. Anger has been mounting in the country over a surge of civilian deaths from military operations. Gates' visit comes weeks after U.S.-led coalition airstrikes in western Harar province. Both the Afghan government and the United Nations say the attack killed more than 90 civilians, mostly women and children. The U.S. military said 30 to 35 militants were killed, but it plans to reopen an investigation after cell phone video emerged showing bodies of people said to have been killed in the strike. Gates visited Bagram Airfield, the main U.S. military base in Afghanistan north of the capital. After talking with U.S. soldiers, Gates offered his condolences for civilians killed in the airstrikes.
I think the key for us is on those rare occasions when we do make a mistake, when there is an error, is to apologize quickly, to compensate the victims quickly, and then carry out the investigation. And I think that that's the approach that we've had in Iraq, and I think we need to move to that here.
In the first 7 months of this year, at least 119 Afghan civilians have been killed in airstrikes, most in US-led coalition raids. Leah, CCTV.
Iranian state television reported on Wednesday that air defense exercises are underway in half of the country's 30 provinces. The commander of Iran's aerial defense, Brigadier General Ahmad Al-Maghani, says the exercises are being staged to practice tactics, use modern equipment and increase military readiness. He says the exercises will be held in 3 stages to promote a combat power and readiness of the Air Force. Maghani says that this is the first time Iran's Air Force has held such large-scale exercises using full defensive capabilities across the country. Russia has signed new treaties of friendship and cooperation with the BRIC Georgian regions of South Ossetia and Abkhazia. Russian President Dmitry Medvedev chaired the signing ceremony at the Kremlin on Wednesday and said Russia will protect the 2 regions. The treaties are the latest efforts by Moscow to deepen economic, military and political ties with South Ossetia and Abkhazia following Russia's brief war with Georgia last month. A separate treaty on military cooperation authorizing Russian bases to be built in the regions will be signed later. Medvedev said it is Russia's key task to guarantee the security of the 2 regions. Georgia's deputy foreign minister has dismissed the treaties as carrying no legal force. Coming up next on the program. The government bailout of major insurer American International Group has failed to calm the market. And Chinese banks disclosed their losses related to Lehman Brothers to ease investor concerns.
Straight travel. Welcome to Fujian.
China. Thousand Island Lake. The ideal place to relax. Hangzhou.
For me, global purchasing means only one name, Alibaba. Here it is. I can always find reputable vendors on Alibaba. This is the product, and this year I shipped 12 containers.
Global trade starts here. Alibaba.com.
Hangzhou. Discover the mystery of China. Tangshan, an ecological city, a reborn phoenix.
Keiko Time, a new era for soft drinks. Keiko, a nutritious drink for people on the go. Natural and healthy, gets rid of fatigue and increases stamina. Keiko, a nutritious drink for people on the go.
Much more to see in Inner Mongolia.
More fun, more opportunities, newer city every day. It is here, my dreamland, Yiwu, China.
Tangshan, a tourism paradise.
Chengdu, the hometown of giant panda.
World Cultural Heritage, the humble administrator's garden of Suzhou.
Sichuan, land of abundance, home of the panda.
An intimate rendezvous with nature, Futushan, China. CCTV9, China's only English-language news channel, broadcasts throughout China and across the globe. CTV Golden Bridge is CCTV International's exclusive advertising agent and can put your company in touch with an audience of millions.
Now for a recap of headlines of our major stories. The Beijing Paralympics wrap up 12 days of achievement and inspiration in spectacular style. The International Paralympic Committee President and the public say well done, Beijing. China responds to the tainted milk scandal by cancelling all inspection exemptions for food producers and reforming dairy industry regulations. And Japan's ruling parties agreed to call the snap poll next month. The National Day holiday week begins on September the 29th. It is China's only long holiday besides the Spring Festival and is a welcome chance to go sightseeing or visit friends and family. Around 6 million people are expected to travel by train each day of the holiday. To meet the demand, extra trains will be in service from September the 26th, many of them on lines between big cities such as Beijing, Shanghai, Chongqing, Guangzhou, and favorite tourist destinations like Guilin, Suzhou, and Kunming. Travelers are reminded that they can book train tickets 10 days in advance. Well, Wei Su joins us now with all the business news. So how are the markets responding to the U.S. government bailout of the AIG?
Pretty much a bloodbath so far. Let's go to the details.
Not a good
laughing, actually. Yeah. All right. Oh, to markets around Asia first. The Nikkei index has dipped 2.6% so far Thursday. It's hitting a 3-year low. Now, that sharp fall came a day after the Tokyo market rose on relief over the U.S. government's rescue package for insurer AIG. Our financial stocks, including top lender Mitsubishi UFJ, plunged as their peers on Wall Street took a severe pounding. Mitsubishi JFJ fell 4.6% to 763 yen. Take a look now at exporters like Honda Motor and Sony. They've also fallen on worries about the impact of a deepening crisis of the global economy. Honda lost 4.8% to 3,150 yen, and Sony plunged 9.5% to 3,240 yen. Let's take a look now at the regional markets. Nikkei down 3.18, Seoul Composite down 3.44, and the Singapore Straits Times, that's also down almost 3.6%. Look at shares in the Hong Kong SAR now. They opened morning trade 2.9% lower. That's a fall for a 7th straight session. Well, on the mainland, financial issues were hit by a double whammy. First, investor concerns over exposure to troubled US banks and tighter margins due to the latest cuts in lending rates. Our top lending ICBC has announced a $152 million exposure to failed US investment giant Lehman Brothers. It's opened 5.2% lower. While the Bank of China, with an exposure of $69 million, opened 5.1% lower. Taking a look at the key figures for now for Hong Kong, Hang Seng down 5%, 8 shares down 6.44, red chips also down 4.15%. Well, on the mainland, the key stock index opened sharply lower on Thursday, led by banks, largely in response to the global financial turmoil. As you can see there, the Shanghai Composite was 3.34% lower at 1,864 points. Now that is just 5 minutes into trade. Banks, no surprise, led the falls for a third straight day. ICBC down 4.4% at 327 yuan. It's not on the chart, but CITIC Securities tumbled almost 5% to hit 1629 yuan, while CITIC Bank fell more than 3% to 4 yuan. Ping An Insurance, that is on the chart, lost nearly 9.9% to 30 yuan. This is the first time it's traded below its IPO price. Look at Bank of China, that's down 2%, but gold producer, the sector that area jumped, with Zijin Mining leaping more than 6% to 4 yuan. Taking a look at the morning's trading figures, Shanghai down almost 3.3, Shenzhen also down 4.33, and red across the board there, B shares all down, and the overall 300 also down almost 5.2%. Taking a look at Wall Street, shares have nosedived again on Wednesday. Anxieties about the financial system are running very high indeed. And this is despite the US government's bailout of major insurer AIG. Investors are concerned that even the Federal Reserve can do little to stem losses as the banking industry inches ever closer to complete meltdown. Li Ying has this story.
Preliminary calculations show the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost about 450 points, giving it a shortfall of more than 800 points so far this week. Broader stock indicators also fell sharply. The Standard & Poor's 500 index dropped over 57 points, and the Nasdaq Composite Index fell nearly 110 points. As investors flagged stocks, they saw the safety of hard assets and government debt, sending gold, oil and short-term treasuries soaring.
It's like banging on a big bell. You know, it reverberates back and forth, and it's going to take some time for those reverberations of the last few days to play out and calm things back down. So I think we're going to see a lot of volatility, a lot of up and down movements.
The market was more unnerved than comforted by news that the Federal Reserve is giving a 2-year, $85 billion loan to AIG in exchange for nearly 80% stake in the company. AIG has lost billions in the risky business of insuring against bond defaults. Wall Street had feared that the conglomerate would follow investment bank Lehman Brothers into bankruptcy. The fallout of the world's largest insurer going under likely would have far surpassed the demise of Lehman. Morgan Stanley revealed its quarterly earnings late on Tuesday, posting a better-than-expected 7% slide in fiscal third-quarter profit. It insists that it's surviving the credit crisis that has ravaged many of its peers. Over the weekend, Merrill Lynch, the world's largest brokerage, sold itself to Bank of America in a last-ditch effort to avoid failure. Leah, CCTV.
All in all this market mayhem, there have also been some very few gainers. One is in the UK. Media reports there say British bank Lloyds TSB has agreed to buy rival HBOS to create a mortgage company that will be worth $50 billion. Britain's largest home loan lender, that's HBOS, will be bought at £2.32 per share, meaning a total value of more than £12 billion. Reports say both boards have agreed to the all-share takeover. Now, this will mark another chapter in a dramatic shake-up of the global financial landscape, with firms threatened by weaker balance sheets or funding strains being swallowed up by stronger rivals. Lloyds is Britain's fifth largest bank, with HBOS coming just after that at number 6, but they rank 4th and 1st respectively in the area of mortgage lending. Taken together, they will have a 28% share in home loans. HBOS has lost more than half its value over the last 6 days. Now, meanwhile, in Russia, authorities there are taking measures to bolster its increasingly beleaguered banking sector. Stocks have suffered heavy losses during a week of turbulence on world financial markets, while the country's banking system has run alarmingly short of cash. The finance ministry says it is pumping liquidity into Russia's 3 largest banks, raising funds for lending to nearly $45 billion for at least 3 months. Wednesday's move came a day after Russian stocks plummeted to their lowest level in nearly 3 years, as tumbling oil prices and a crisis on Wall Street focused concern on Russia's economy. Well, back here in China, investors say they are concerned about the depth of exposure that lenders within this country have to the just-collapsed U.S. investment giant Lehman Brothers. In a move to ease anxieties, several lenders have already come clean about their exposure to loans and bonds held by the troubled financial institution. NewsHour takes a closer look.
China Merchants Bank disclosed on Wednesday that it holds $70 million in senior debt and subordinated bonds issued by Lehman Brothers. The mid-sized bank said in a written statement that it would make provisions for its losses and carry out a risk assessment. The bank also has $255 million worth of bonds related to faltering mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Among the big 4 state-owned banks, the Bank of China was the first to reveal that it expects some impact from Lehman's bankruptcy filing. BOC says its total exposure to bonds issued by Lehman Brothers was about $75 million as of Wednesday. BOC Hong Kong holds $69 million, while its branch in New York also has $50 million in outstanding loans and $3.2 million in loans to a Lehman Brothers unit. The bank is considering making appropriate provisions against the bonds. The Industrial and Commercial Bank of China exposure is mounted to 0.01% of its total assets, or $150 million worth of bonds issued by or linked to Lehman. The Bank of Communications and the China Construction Bank are still calculating damages. The Bank of Communications says it only holds a small proportion of foreign debt and securities, so it does not expect figures to be high. While for China Industrial Bank, exposure has been valued at about $34 million, and it has not yet set aside provisions to cover potential losses. China's first overseas investment fund, Huaan, has already announced it will dealt heavy blow from the bankruptcy filing of business partners and investment advisor Lehman Brothers. It has halted redemptions of a QDII fund that invests overseas. The fund holds structured notes guaranteed by Lehman. The fund manager said the principal of the fund may suffer losses. It may take months before all financial institutions come up with the exact figures for their Lehman-related losses. But experts say China's total exposure to the failed U.S. investment house should be limited. NewsHour CCTV.
Oh, there'll be more business updates throughout the day, but for now, it's back to Liang Hong.
Okay, thank you, Wesley. You're watching NewsHour on CCTV International. Coming up next, Manchester United to disappoint with a new all-home draw against Villarreal in their Champions League opener. And over in Asia, Japan's Gamba Osaka beat Al Karama of Syria 2-1.
Many cities in China have quickly developed since China's opening up. Hangzhou, a city with long history and rich culture, has also experienced a reform that has shaped its special character.
The city is a very nice combination of classic beauty of the Chinese history and culture with the modern lifestyle.
The West Lake can also be very beautiful with snow.
Join us on Up Close to learn how Hangzhou has changed in the past 30 years.
Well, now for final. Okay, Tony is here now with the latest of the sports news. Okay, it's your turn.
Okay, and first off, we're going to talk about international soccer. Goal-shy Manchester United kicked off its Champions League title defense with a 0-0 home draw against Villarreal in their opening Group E match on Wednesday.
Well, it's his first game back. You know, it's a big ask to think about Sunday at the moment, but he showed his to come back after such a long time out and not even have any friendly match or anything. It's his first game back, and he's done very well, the boy.
And in another match between Arsenal and Dynamo Kiev, Arsenal dominated the first half but failed to make the most of its chances. In other matches, Celtic played to a scoreless draw with AAB Aalborg. Olympique Lyon drew 2-2 with Fiorentina. Porto defeated Fenerbahce 3-1. Juventus beat Zenit St. Petersburg 1-0, and Real Madrid overcame Bata Borisov 2-0. It is the first stage of the first leg of the knockout stage for teams in the Asian Champions League. Japanese side Gamba Osaka beat Al Karama of Syria on Wednesday. The Japanese champion Kashima Antlers had to rely on a bizarre own goal to avoid defeat against Australia's Adelaide United, and FC Bonacore of Uzbekistan lost the lead twice to draw 2-2 against Iranian champions Saipa FC. Determined to beat Al Karama, Gamba Osaka struggled to get going in the first half, which ended with an Al Karama goal. But the Japanese leveled the game through a 70th minute goal from Satoshi Yamaguchi and sealed the 2-1 win with a Masato Yamazaki goal just 7 minutes later. Adelaide took on Kashima Antlers. Adelaide skipper Travis Dodd put the visitors ahead with a 32nd minute header. But that was canceled out when his teammate Robert Cornthwaite sliced an attempted clearance into his own net with the last action of the opening half. Now Bonacore versus Saipa. Bonacore's Chilean striker Jose Luis Villanueva opened the scoring after 11 minutes. Iman Razagurad equalized just 7 minutes later. Then former World Footballer of the Year Rivaldo scored straight out of the restart. Finally, a deflected free kick from Kanus Ramadi wrapped up all the scoring before halftime. In golf, the world spotlight is on the Ryder Cup. Paul Azinger's USA team looks to recapture the cup after 3 straight lopsided losses to the Europeans. The American players are hopeful that the Valhalla course, with its remade Jack Nicklaus greens, will lend itself to scoring. It'll cater to some of the longer hitters on the group, like J.B. Holmes, who wowed the fans with a driving display on Wednesday afternoon.
You know, it's fun to watch. There's never been anything like it. There's two guys that really, honestly, just no one's ever seen the likes of it before, and Bubba Watson and J.B. Holmes.
I think there's going to be a lot of putts made. You know, the areas of the greens are fairly flat. There are some tough spots, but overall they're fairly flat. And I think you're going to see a lot of putts made. I think the way the course is set up, it's getting a little firmer. I think you're going to see a lot of birdies, and you're going to need to make birdies to win the holes.
I think you're going to see a lot of birdies, but you're also, I mean, it's a tough course from tee to green, and especially an alternate shot. I think you're going to see a lot more par putts than you would, you know, on in the afternoon rounds for birdies. So.
And that's all the sports for now. Lang Hong, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Now for a final recap of our top stories. The Beijing Paralympics wrap up 12 days of achievement and inspiration in spectacular style. The International Paralympic Committee President and the public say, well done, Beijing. China responds to the tainted milk scandal by cancelling all inspection exemptions for food producers and reforming dairy industry regulations. Japan's ruling parties agreed to call snap poll next month. The government bailout of major insurer American International Group fails to calm the markets. Chinese banks to close their losses related to Lehman Brothers to ease investor concerns. Champions League opener. Well, that's our time for News Hour. I'm Liao Hong. Thanks for watching.